Jenny, and welcome back to my channel. Tonight is the last night of our ghost story for our haunted house. And I have no idea who this guy is, but he's decided to sit in today.
I'm just getting scared thinking about it.
So I'm sure from other videos you've seen my husband, you've seen this guy tasting everything that I make. But he is going to tell the things that he remembers from the house. So go ahead.
I guess that's my cue. Well,
Tell him about the first day when we moved, when we were signing the paperwork to move into the house.
yeah, we had been there 4 times previous, looking at it, whatever, talking. So just to get this out. Before this house, you couldn't convince me of ghosts at all. So anyway, with that said, let's begin. So we just signed paperwork, deposit, whole 9 yards. We're getting ready to leave. And well, I got almost made it to the front door, and something came over me. I turned around and I asked the guy, "Is this place haunted?" And he kind of laughed at me, like out loud, kind of. It was interesting. And he said, "No, why?" I'm like, "I have no idea. It just came to me right now."
He didn't even answer you. He said, "I've never been asked that question before."
Well, he snickered at me, but you're right. He did. I was never been asked that question before. It's like he was anticipating it. But anyway, it came over me at that point. We've been there previously, and not once did I have that feeling at all until that very second of walking out the front door.
Boys!
Anyway, it was a no, he said, and as my wife stated, she doesn't forget anything.
He didn't answer us. He didn't say no. He just said he'd never been asked that question. He never said no. That was what was strange, and we were talking about in the car that he never gave us an answer.
Well, no, just the way. But anyway, just the way it all happened of why I asked exactly at that point and had never thought about it before. So, with that out of the way, the very next day we're moving in, and Jim might have mentioned this when this was my first experience, which is really the first day of our stuff being in the house. I'm in the kitchen. Stephanie's in the kitchen with me, along with Midnight, our black lab. And I start hearing papers ruffle in the packed boxes, like someone's ruffling through them. And all of a sudden, Midnight comes up against me and just starts. You see the hair on his back just stand up, and he's just scared to death. And all of a sudden, the hair on my arm just stands up. And I'm literally freaking out. I'm looking at Stephanie. And we run for the garage door, and dog and all outside, gone. And that was day one, within an hour and a half being in the house, maybe. Other instances scattered throughout. Computer mouse moving. Black shadows, 3-foot tall shadows in the hallway at night up on the second story. The worst of all is I was in the restroom, and this is in the beginning of the house also, because we only had Midnight at the time. Right? Yeah. And the kids weren't home. Jim's downstairs reading a book. Anyway, I'm in the restroom, and all of a sudden I hear snorting underneath the bathroom door, which is about 7 feet away or whatever. And I'm like, okay, Midnight, gotta be out in a minute, talking to the dog, and it gets a little louder, and like I hear like the door, like up against the door. He's pushing the door and snorting and then like, stop it! I'll be out in a minute. And then I start thinking, well, it's still happening. It's getting louder and like little growls now, and I think the kids are playing around with me now. So at this point, I'm like, stop it! Knock it off, guys! Get out of here! And then it continues, and it gets like monstrous, it's so freaking weird. I can't even explain it, but I got terrified, absolutely terrified. I'm a grown man trapped in my restroom with something snarling and growling at the door to the point where I'm literally terrified. So I get up enough courage, I guess, and I'm done hollering at whatever it is, whoever it is, and I do one of those reach for the door and boom, real quick, and there's nothing at all there. So I walk out the bedroom door real quick and look over the balcony, and there's Midnight Paul sleeping in his rocking chair. And so I holler down at Jen. I'm like, was Midnight been down there? She's like, yeah. And it was at a point where she's like, something's up there. Because there was, I'm like, where's the kids? And you're like, they're not here. And Midnight's sleeping right there. I see him. But this had me like absolutely terrified. So that was bad. But we stayed, and the phone's ringing in the boxes, not plugged in. But Stephanie had always had bruises when she slept in this room. Like,
remember when I'd wake her up and she'd have this, especially the one day that cut completely around her ankle, bleeding.
Yeah. So,
the time we had to keep taking off her doorknobs twice, and then the third time, I forgot about the third time, and Chase says, Mom, remember we had to take her entire door off because she got locked in without the doorknob, and you, I guess, took the door off. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, that room right here.
Yeah.
And Chase would sleep without Midnight. And then there was one time, we're in bed, like a nuclear explosion, the loudest bang on nothing. Like nothing, absolute silence.
When we'd stumble out there and to see what was going on, and it'd be dead quiet, and none of the kids would even open their bedroom doors. I asked Chase if he heard that, and he said yes, but they were terrified.
Really, they heard that big bang?
Yes.
I thought I was the only...
No, because we both ran out there in the one time, the first time it happened.
Nothing moved.
No.
Like, not even the wind, nothing. It was just like the loudest explosion 3 feet from you and nothing.
And I think the first time it happened too, I remember falling out of bed because my feet were still in the sheet. And we were trying to get out there, and we were so confused. I think we even went outside to see if something was going on outside, because it was so loud we thought for sure we were being bombed. It was that crazy.
It sounded like it was exactly right in the hallway. So.
Yeah, it did. But that happened more than once.
And I mean, I could just sit and talk about it forever, because it was just the oddest, weirdest experiences I ever had. I should say the starting of my weird experiences. It's even in this house, not recent, but like I'm grabbing my firearm and like who's in my backyard stuff, and there's nothing except the ghost. But back to that other house is. We had ghost hunters come out, and call them the ghost hunters, but like the Arizona paranormal people.
Yeah.
They were scared, which is weird. But if they're scared,
something that they say that they do, and they're used to this, and they're professionals, and they're not supposed to be scared. This is their area of expertise.
Yeah. So we already talked about the paranormal people coming, and they were terrified, and had to go to the hospital because they got pushed or scratched. I've never was physically touched. I know she's had some experiences where she called me once.
That's the end of the story. So don't say that yet, because that's what I'm going to tell him. Because that's how we moved out.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I almost got in trouble. So, but how Ryan never said anything, about anything until after we moved out of there to me. That every day 2 people come in my room and 3 people come in my room and start chatting with me and just walk out the window. I'm like, what?
They were talking about him, or like
he said they were looking at him.
Yeah, he looked up one time and saw them looking at him, and he covered his face up because he was terrified. And we didn't find this out, like I said, until we moved into this house.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until we'd been in this house about a month that anybody even wanted to talk about our experiences in that other house. I still don't know everything, that everybody personally experienced. And of course, it's been 10 years now, so I'm sure a lot of the small incidences that happened to us, I'm not remembering everything.
Because it was daily.
It was daily.
I mean, it wasn't like, it happened 3 times, you're going to remember everything. It was like, it was in our daily life. So it was just like, anything. It was like a chore, putting up with something. It was just normal routine to have that.
Constant stomping and walking and bowling upstairs.
Oh, with no one there, obviously.
Yeah. And that was the easy stuff, we got used to that stuff.
Did you talk about when we walked over to the neighbors?
Yes.
And you were kind of...
The husband told the wife that she didn't hear anything and he didn't want her to talk about it.
Yeah. Which means, they knew something. But...
Yeah. But we did drive by the house and have some footage for you.
Today,
we will put that footage in. And I'll probably put it in more.
Actually, it was yesterday.
Yes, yesterday was our anniversary, our 11th anniversary. And we drove by the house, which was kind of fitting because that was the first place we ever lived together. That was where when we got married, that's where we lived.
Before we got hitched and haunted. It's funny.
Hitched and haunted.
It was a haunting hitching.
We did not have our wedding at that house.
No, not at the house, but
that's where we lived. And like I said, when we were planning the wedding, the house was loud. We couldn't sleep. I remember by the end after we got married, we were exhausted, and I remember crying a lot and going to work. And I worked at this practice where there were multiple physicians, and at that point I think there were 9 physicians in that office. One of the physician that I work for, I would always tell him about it, and he would be like, no, ghosts aren't real. And I would be like, this stuff's happening. And he never, he knows that I truly thought that they were happening to me and that I was upset about it, but I don't think he truly believed that there's a haunting,
Yeah.
And then that was the one I personally worked for, and I actually worked for him for 12 years. And then at the other end of the building, there was another physician. I won't mention his name, but he every day when I would come into work, he'd send somebody to come find me, and I would go into his office and he'd say, all right, come on in, sit down and fill me in on what's going on. He was like apparently a ghost story fanatic, and he loved hearing people's experiences, and he'd had a lot of his own. And even at restaurants, he took his families, he had little kids, like three, 4 little boys and a wife, and he took them to a restaurant and had strange things happen to them in this restaurant. But so ever since then, he really was interested. So he would have me give him an update every day when I came in that office.
Well, there was something to talk about every day.
There was.
For sure.
There was. Most definitely.
Yeah. Well,
Now, I guess I can tell him the last little bit about why we moved.
Well, I was telling them about how the dogs were cowering in the corner that one day when I came
That
home.
one day, they did a lot.
Well, the one day's the first day that I ever seen them do it.
Okay.
It's like you walk in. It's like where's your dogs in the corner, crying, facing the corner.
They were terrified.
Sneeze. Why she's not gonna leave that in? Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, they were whimpering in the corner, and it was the strangest thing. And I knew they were terrified, but I guess dogs, they see stuff like that more than we do anyway. And I definitely can tell that here because they're always preoccupied with something or looking at something in the hallway or in the office, in the new place. So
We're not talking about this new house. This is just about the other house. But we could do another video on other experiences. We have the strangest things happen, and yes, we have had experiences in this house also. But we won't talk about that today.
yeah, I get carried away. Sorry.
So the last draw of living in this house, it was in June, and he got up for work really early because he was working solar, and I think he was out of the house by like 4 o'clock in the morning, and he was gone. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. I was laying on my left side sleeping. I felt him get back in bed, and it was my whole blankets came up, and he got under the blanket, and I said, and he went, and then in my ear I heard a and I said, hey, what are you doing? Why aren't you at work? And I turned over to elbow him. Nobody there. Okay. That was the first time I literally felt extreme fear. I was so scared. The shadow going up the stairs bothered me and scared me and freaked me out, but this really freaked me out.
Yeah.
I got hysterical. I called him at work. I begged him to come home. I told him we had to move right now. I couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't going to stay in this house another minute. And I just really had a meltdown over it. That scared me to death.
Yeah, she actually called me and asked me if I was still in bed, so she was pretty terrified.
Which was stupid because I knew you weren't there.
Yeah. She just was like, am I dreaming? Nope.
That scared the crap out of me. I can safely say my heart sunk. And then I flew out of the bed screeching. I was so scared. And then we found a new place to live, which was this house. I told you we did go look at another house. There was 2 houses. We looked at that one real quick that needed the work done on it when we went in there. Remember, they said that they would do a lower rent if we fixed it up. But
yeah.
it was like, it needed to be torn down really, and it was that bad. But then we looked at this house right after that, and then we were like, yep, we want this house. We're gonna move in right now. We can move in right now. So we ended up moving in this house July 1st. And that was in 2009. July 1st, 2009.
Always seem to move in July.
I know. So
Horrible.
But during the moving process, we were packing this house, and I was literally throwing stuff in the boxes. I was packing as fast as I could possibly pack.
You call it packing, but
It wasn't
they were
really
in
packing.
by.
Yeah, I was just chucking stuff in the boxes. I wanted out so bad.
I think there was more stuff just like placed in the vehicles,
Yeah.
other than in boxes.
Yeah, you're probably right. I was throwing stuff in.
It was out of the house kind of stuff. So.
And that last day, I thought, and I remember I told you, I said, we really need to sweep and mop and clean this house before we move, you know? And you said, it's like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I can take this load over and come back and get you. And I'm like, oh, heck no. I was like, I am not staying in this house. And I was downstairs in the front. You were in the truck. I was getting ready to get in the car. And that last minute, you could hear the house starting to do this weird, whiny howl, like coming from upstairs. It was a weird, and it was because we were leaving. And I remember yelling out, "You can have this house, keep it, we're out, it's yours."
Yeah, weird, but yeah.
But I stood there with the door open in the way because I was scared it was going to slam. I've seen way too many movies. And that last little bit, the house literally sounded to me like it was getting ready to scream. There was a howl from upstairs.
Just like those I'll say, those bedrooms were like, well, ours too, with the creature underneath and the dude in the bed. And
yeah, I mean, it was the entire house.
I mean, it's like a werewolf trying to claw or gnaw his way into the bathroom. That was the craziest. But we're not there. Nothing's trying to claw their way into me yet. So
another thing I want to mention is that after we moved out of the house, we were here for about a month. I told you that we all talked about everything that happened. Well, about 2 weeks before we discussed what happened in the house, 2 weeks after we moved in this house, my daughter had already moved out. She was over 18 at this point, and she was with all of her friends, and she knew the house was empty. And so she's with her pack of teenage friends, and they think they're gonna be cool, and they're gonna go climb the fence and sit in the backyard and probably drink beer. So
probably
she has this group of friends, and there's probably, how many in that group? There was probably like 8-10 of them. And
at least.
They pull up, in the driveway, and Stephanie said that they all got out of the car and she walked over to the fence, and she said right when they pulled up, that front bedroom, the shade split like somebody looking at them, like it always did every time we pull in that driveway. You could tell somebody's looking at you through that shade. She was trying to ignore it, but she said as soon as she put her foot on that fence to try to climb over, she could hear the banging and the stomping inside the house going on, and that house was completely empty. Anyway, all the friends went screaming and running, and nobody ended up in that yard. They took off, and she has not been back since. And to be honest, I know you have gone to Mikey's house. I have not gone in that neighborhood since we moved out.
Yeah, I've been back there quite a few times, but I go around the other way. I go around the other way so I don't drive in front of the house. But
yeah, it's just kind of a weird feeling, and you just, I don't know if it's from everything that we experienced, but I'm always afraid that it's going to see me when I go by. And when we went by the other day, it got footage for you. It saw us. It's kind of nerve-wracking. Even though I know,
just saying that.
Even though we kind of giggle about it and laugh it off because it's been so long, it was really, really a terrifying experience for all of us. Something that we are never going to forget, and something we may never get over. And it has actually caused more jumpiness in all of us. The kids get scared way more easy now. Stephanie is very jumpy. She does get scared over movies.
I can't see now. You got me. Now I can't wait to talk about this house.
And I myself, who I never used to be afraid of anything. Really, things like that don't usually bother me. But I have gotten a little more jumpy. I mean, last week, how many times did you scare me? You were just standing there at the sliding glass door, and I jumped.
I'm kind of just as creepy as myself, but yeah, it was 3 times that day.
It was. It's 3. Maybe just because I've been reviewing, and telling about our experiences, but I have been getting really jumpy. Everything kind of bothers me right now. It's weird. It's a weird feeling. I'm glad that nobody got seriously hurt and that we all survived it. I've seen a lot of movies.
Yeah, that was definitely the beginning of my beliefs and experiences with whatever it was. Whatever they were, for sure, or it.
Oh, also the paranormal investigators, when I did talk to them after the whole thing was over, and it was like we were at breakfast one day, it was like a week after the investigation, and we're literally at breakfast, talking about the investigation, and I was on the phone with a guy, and he was saying how, this whole haunting was my fault. I drug it right into the house, and he couldn't help us with that because, they don't have demonologists, which they told me they had a demonologist on, that they worked with all the time in the beginning and that they could help with. But basically, the guy was angry with me. He wasn't very nice. He made me cry. Here I'm at breakfast crying on the phone because we can't get any help. I'm scared to go home. The kids are scared to be there. They can't have friends over.
So they refused to help you.
They did.
Or us, I should say.
They did. And they were, like I said, they were supposed to send us a copy of everything. That didn't happen. I did email them. No response back. So I doubt I'm ever going to get a copy of all of that stuff. I'm still going to continue to try, and if I ever do, then I will.
It was on the website.
The website is no longer. It looks like they put up a new website, but it has literally no content on it right now. So I emailed them off that website. That's it. But I'm going to continue to try. But when I was talking to that man on the phone, he said, "You don't have a ghost problem. You have a demon problem." He said, "Your house this is not a usual haunting." And so
I could safely, with not being experienced in that at all, I would say, yeah, it was a demon problem. I mean, when you see stuff on TV, this and that, it was not a ghost.
it wasn't like
No, it wasn't like a ghost. It was evil energy. I mean,
it did feel very depressive, negative. Like I said, we were fighting a lot in that house over the kids. Nobody could get along. The kids were fighting. We were fighting because the kids were fighting. It was terrible.
Man. And here we are.
Yeah.
13 years later.
12 from that house.
From
moving in together.
Okay, yeah, from moving in together. So.
Yeah, we've lived together for 12 years, but yeah, it was definitely an experience.
Yeah.
One that I never want to go through again. It is really the first time I had no control and I was really scared.
It was bam, blended family, bam, demons. What a mixture. Let me tell you.
Demons, ghosts, I don't know what was in there. The shadow thing definitely that I saw was never human, or couldn't have been. I don't know.
I mean, I picture them right now. It'll never. I mean, it's as vivid as right now. Like the shape. I just see it right now. It'll never go away. Seeing that image of them in the hallway.
You saw them in the hallway?
Yeah, those black things.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, there's 3 of them.
You saw them in the hallway?
Oh yeah.
You never told me that.
No. 3-4 foot tall.
Really?
And they just all. I want to black, but I want to describe it as like. Here I go with ghosts, but they almost look like ghosts, but black. Like ghosts, like if someone had a sheet over them, but black and hazy looking, but about 3 feet tall.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. That's. I only saw them once in the hallway outside our bedroom, and it was weird because they were walking towards nothing because there's the balcony. They were coming.
Possibly that
coming.
room.
What? Look at this goosebumps still coming
Yeah,
up.
they're starting to freak me out.
Every time. But coming out of like Chase's area, so they were walking in front of our door, and just like they went out the front of the house, but obviously it's the balcony.
Wow.
So, but yeah, that was the 3 things I saw there. As being an entity or something, like other than stuff moving and.
So I'm going to insert the footage of us driving by the house in the neighborhood here.
Right there?
Right here.
Over there?
Here.
Up there? Somewhere.
To today is our 11th anniversary, and I guess it would be fitting that we are going to drive by that old haunted house today in Philly. Okay, we are driving through the neighborhood of the haunted house. Yep, this is our old neighborhood.
It just feels eerie.
It does kind of, doesn't it? Even though it's a beautiful neighborhood. Maybe it's just because of what we experienced.
Mr. Paul loved that park.
There's the park. It's just a big... We're in Arizona, so when our kids were young, they used to call this the green area. And all the kids' friends lived in here.
Someone lives there.
Someone is living there.
Mikey did his house up really nice and then sold it.
Apparently those stop signs are just for suggestions.
They are. The little birdie suggested I didn't stop.
Mm-hmm. Mikey sold his house already?
Yeah, already sold. Someone already moved in.
This house here, a friend of ours, just sold. Alright, here it is.
And they're getting solar on it. That's funny.
Okay, this is the house right here with this car parked.
Scary, scary.
Ugh, that window, the kid's bedroom window.
Since day one at this house. And we lived there how many years? 3?
2.
2, 3?
2.
She says 2, I say 3.
It was 2 years.
Felt like 3.
It was super scary. Yeah. This neighborhood is really beautiful and it looks so nice, and you would never have guessed it. It makes me feel a little nauseous driving down this road.
Yeah, yeah.
It just freaks me out.
A lot of the same people still live here.
Yeah. Maybe their houses aren't haunted. I don't know. Anyway, we are going to get out of this neighborhood.
Peace.
So that wraps up the 4th day or the series of the haunted house.
Wow.
Our old house. I'm sure that we've had more things happen. That's all I can remember right now. When you're living someplace on a daily basis and things happen every day, it's really impossible to remember everything, because that was 10 years ago and we lived there 2 years. There was a lot of things, and I didn't get everything from Stephanie and Ryan.
Or me, apparently.
Yeah, so I found out things from him today that I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, like he was saying before, we have had some things happen in this house. Quite a few things. Nothing compared to that other house. Not like that at all. But if you're interested, let us know in the comments. We'd be more than happy to do another video later on telling you the things that have happened to us in this house. I have lots and lots of stories and experiences. And he has a lot more here in this house.
Yeah, I got some. I think some interesting and terrifying.
Probably more than me from this house.
Yeah, I think
you can't tell anything. He's dying to tell somebody.
All right.
But anyway, if you're interested in hearing more of our stories, more of his stories, let us know and in the comments below, and we'll do another video on other things that we've experienced. So, if you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, and I sure do appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
I'll see you next time.
Bye.